Good morning, college students, or even high school students if you are in an English class and you're doing, or any class that you have to do a research paper in. I'm going to give you a strategy. Some people would actually say, ooh, that sounds like a way to help students that maybe they shouldn't have access to. It's not really cheating because to me it's using a reference. And that is when you have to do a paper, you're probably going to do a paper in something that's called APA style or MLA style. I understand, based on this book anyway, that there's a Chicago style. I've never heard anybody ask for a Chicago style in my educational career, but it doesn't mean it don't exist. Maybe it exists in Chicago. If it does, let me know below. Does all the colleges and universities in Chicago have their papers submitted Chicago style? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? All right. So in any case, one of the things that I like about a book like this, so you can see that it's a skinny book, and in this case here, it happens to be called a pocket style manual. And the author is Diana Hacker. Ooh, so she's giving you life hacks or education hacks. And but in any case, I used this book several years ago, so I'm sure there's more current editions. But what I liked about this when I was going through and writing all of my papers is I just jumped right towards the back of the book where I could get in most of my classes. I was doing APA style. And so I'd go right to the back of the book, and there's a whole section on APA in-text citations. So it'll tell you how to do a quotation. And I know some of you are going to go, why do I want a book? I'll just get it on the internet. Well, one of the things is when I've got my paper in front of me, so I tend to use a laptop. Some of you use computers. Maybe some of you are writing your papers on your handheld device, right, your phone, by talking into it, or who knows, you might be typing into it. But I tend to use a laptop, and so with that, I don't want to distract from what's on my screen. I don't really want to lose my thought process a lot by flipping around from screen to screen. So I just have the book right there next to me so that I can just look down and go, okay, I'm doing an in-text citation. It's a quote, and I can see exactly how I need to cite that quote within the text, right? And so then I can add the citation with no problem. And it also will tell me how to do that quotation or the citation with 2 authors, with 3 to 5 authors, with 6 or more, or with who knows, unknown authors, or as the organization, because sometimes you might be quoting an organization's website as the author, whatever. There's all these different rules on how to do that citation. And if you're taking a class and your teacher's requiring you to do it in a particular style, hopefully they actually know, not all of them do, hopefully they actually know the style that they're looking for. And they'll tell you if it's correct or not. And hopefully they'll consistently tell you if it's correct or not. I chuckle because who knows. But in any case, so that's one thing, is while I'm writing the paper, I can deal with the in-text citations. And then when I come to the end of the paper and I have to do the list, right, the reference portion of that paper, I can go back to all my in-text citations, and there's a whole section on how to do the references. So I love that. And then I just have to have it there. I look for what my reference was, the in-text citation, the source that I got it from, because I might have made notes on what book it came from or what paper it came from, right? What journal article it came from, whatever. I've got that all handy, and then I'm making that into my reference list, and so that I can do the reference list correctly. And it just walks through how you do it with a single author, with multiple authors, with the organization as the author. If it's from an article, if it's a periodical, if it's an article from a journal, if it's an article from a magazine, if it's a newspaper article, if it's from a letter, if it's from to the editor, if it's from a book, whatever. This thing right here, I'm kind of dealing with about 4 pages, and it's worth whatever the cost was. I don't remember what the cost was. Couldn't have been too expensive. And it just sat right by my computer so that anytime I was writing any kind of a paper where I would where I would use a source to quote something, and I would lift that quote from a book or from whatever, periodicals, journal articles, blah, blah, blah. I had my book right here to be able to remind me very quickly how to do the in-text citation and then how to do the resources. So I'm going to encourage you to find a book like that will help you. If you prefer to do it online, to use an online source, that's fine. If you find one that you have to pay for, well, I'm sorry for you that you have to pay for it online. But I will turn around and say, whatever it cost to buy the book was totally worth it, because this book got me through a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. So, that's a lot of time. That covered a span of years, and I was able to cite my APA references when I needed MLA. I was able to use the part of the book for that as well, and I never did need Chicago style, so who cares? But whatever, it was still in the book in case I did. So students, when you're writing papers, let me just add now, when you're citing from a source, please keep the citation to no more than about 3 sentences. Because what happens is, and if those 3 sentences are long, then don't use 3 sentences. Because what happens is when you cite something that's long, and if your teacher has you turn your paper in using a grading platform, something like turnitin.com, it just looks like you plagiarized everything. And then especially if your source is not cited correctly, so whatever it is, if it was a website, a book, a journal, whatever, if it's not cited correctly, they just say, oh, plagiarism, and then they kick it back to you and give you a 0 on your assignment, which is not what you want, because you spent time looking through your sources to get the quotation that you wanted to use, but you can't quote. And on any given page, if you do kind of more than 2 citations or 2 quotes, if you lift a quote from a source and you do more than 2 per page, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. I would use that as your max on any given page. Maybe 1 a page could be better, because what they really want to see is your original content. That's what we're looking for when we're trying to see whether or not you understand the concepts that we've presented or that we've had you do research on. So keep that in mind, because what is your goal? Your goal is to get an A. Why? Because your bigger goal is to pass the class. Why? Because your bigger goal than that is to complete your program, because your bigger goal than that is to graduate school, and your bigger goal than that is to hopefully utilize your degree in a way that helps you make the amount of money that gives you the type of living situation that you want to have. Whether or not it's being happy in a small house and a car, or if you want to be able to travel around the world on unlimited resources, you're coming to school for a reason. That's to earn the piece of paper, right? Your degree, because you think your degree means something. And therefore, because that degree means something, put it to work for you. All right? Okay. With that said, hit the like button. Feel free to make comments below. Also ask questions. If you have questions about school that you want to ask, feel free to ask those questions. I might respond to them. Maybe I'll respond in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Who knows? So like, comment, subscribe, and come back for whatever the next class is. But for now, class dismissed.